Welcome back to episode 6 of the Patreon podcast for the Full Metal Beavers. I'm Dr. French, and for this episode, we have a very special treat. We have Cody Rodriguez joining us. Say hi, Cody.
How's the agency? Hello.
So Cody, you're a senior. You're graduating this year. You'll be leaving the team, and you're actually have plans to go out of state. So could you talk about where you're going, what you plan on studying?
I'm going to Michigan State University. I'm studying astrophysics. Shout out to the agency.
And why that school? Why that discipline?
Let me stand up for this one. So, Michigan State. I mean, I have no idea what the school looks like. So, like, a lot of it was chosen based on like the school, like what is offered in the school. So, for one, Michigan State is one of the few colleges that offer astrophysics as a direct major, because normally you have to major in physics and then go into astrophysics post grad. So Michigan State was one of the few colleges that offers that as an actual major. Not only that, like it's not highly competitive, so I was able to get in. And
Okay.
it wasn't difficult. So
Okay, nice.
yeah, and then also that's out of state. I wanted to leave, so yeah, there's like 3 main factors of it. It was a big school. I get to like meet new people and stuff.
Yeah, it's a huge school. It has like 40,000 students on campus.
True.
Have you ever been out of state before? Just like vacation or otherwise?
Yeah. I've been to Florida twice. Been to Maryland, I think, too.
You think?
No, I'm pretty confident I went to Maryland before.
Okay.
Agency headquarters is located in Mars, so I've been out of the...
Isn't that Fortnite?
No. This is like the real life agency. Fortnite stole it from us, No?
Okay.
But yeah. And then I've been in Jamaica too. And
what was that like? Because that's out of the country.
So when I was in Jamaica, I was like, it was like kind of like when I moved from my grandparents' house to like my dad got his like own house. So like I was still like in a household that was like highly Caribbean. Mm-hmm. So the transition from like New York to Jamaica wasn't that like bad, because I was kind of like used to like everything already. Mm-hmm. Because like they keep the same culture that they have in Jamaica. So yeah, and wasn't like that bad.
Were you like living in the city or the village, or I don't know what the different areas of Jamaica are?
So when I went, my grandparents, they were building a house in Jamaica, but it wasn't done yet, so we couldn't stay there. But we would go there every now and then to like stay there, because it has like a lot of like land and stuff. So we just go there and you chill out.
So you were chilling out in an unfinished house?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, like there was like huge like 5-inch mops on like the walls inside, because there's like no lighting at all. So it's like an abandoned house, but it's not abandoned.
Okay.
But we stayed in an apartment. Like that's what we like stuff. Oh no, we didn't. Did we? No, yes we did. We did. Yeah. That's
Okay. Okay, so let's go back to Michigan. So your move-in date is tentative around what time? Like August, September? Do you know?
I have no idea. I mean, because Michigan State, they're planning on announcing whether we're having online classes or like in-person classes during July. So until then, I don't really know. Okay.
And you don't know your roommate situation?
No, I'm going random. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Risk taker. So let's talk about astrophysics. You're very proud about that major. I know you speak very positively about it. Why astrophysics and not like astronomy or just physics or some other major? Why specifically astrophysics?
So, I mean, if you think about like the difference between physics and astrophysics, it's like the difference between like chemistry and physics, where like physics is chemistry, but chemistry is just a more like specific to like a certain thing within physics, which is the same thing that astrophysics is. I didn't want to go into physics because I already like know what type of field I want to get into within physics, which is like astronomy-based physics. Like I want to like research like cosmic phenomenon. So since that is like astrophysics, which is why I decided to go astrophysics rather than physics, because I already have an idea of what I want to get into.
So, like, but what about like astrophysics? So the universe is, or like celestial bodies and cosmic phenomena. What about that is fascinating to you?
Well, I think for one is I'm good at it. So like a lot of people, like I know this friend off Xbox who he wanted to get into nuclear chemistry, but he didn't have like he wasn't good enough at math to do it. So he couldn't do it. So he switched majors. And I'm good at math. So I feel like this is like appropriate because I feel like I wouldn't be doing like myself justice. I don't know. I feel like this is like kind of like it comes off the wrong way because it sounds like I'm putting down like other majors, but I feel like this is like I find more comfort in this topic rather than like others, which is why like I like it more. But like I'm good at like physics, I think. So I feel like it'd be most appropriate for me to apply like what I'm best at in a like meaningful manner. And I don't know, how did I get into astrophysics and space and stuff?
That is the question I asked. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going on a tangent. I was like saying like why I chose it.
Yeah.
Other than other things, because there's obviously other things that I'm interested in as well. But that was like the primary reason why I chose astrophysics in general.
Do you feel like there was a moment, like maybe in your childhood or maybe even as a teenager in high school, that there was something that kind of clicked or fell into place and you're like, this is what I want to do? Like you looked at a star or something? Was it any moments?
That's what I'm thinking about. And I don't know. I feel like it's closer to like why like your favorite color is your favorite color. Like where it's more just like it's like something that you can't really explain, but it's just like it has an appeal to you, you know? So there wasn't really a moment where I discovered
always
like
been.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a calling. Interesting. What do you anticipate yourself doing? Like, let's say, let's flash forward a few years. Say you got your bachelor's in astrophysics, your master's in astrophysics, PhD. Let's say you have like a whole bunch of PhDs, okay? And let's say it's 10 years from now or 20 years from now. You're working for some place. You can decide where you're working at. But what do you see yourself doing?
Where do I see myself? So, I mean, the goal is to do like postgraduate and postdoctoral research. But I also want to do more than that. Like, I don't know. When I look at like some successful like people, like you and like there are some streamers I watch.
Yeah.
So this is one streamer. I mentioned him before. His name is Carl Sagan42, and he plays Super Mario Maker levels like on Twitch, which is a gaming platform, streaming platform. And when you see him play, like he's like goofy, and sometimes he makes really obvious mistakes, and he doesn't like pick up on things that are like right in front of like are really obvious. And you click on his like description, his Twitch description, and it says postdoctoral researcher with a PhD in genetics. And it's like not only is he like educated, but he's using his knowledge on like a platform not specific to like his field, like not like a platform for like geneticists. I think that's what you call it. Yeah.
Yes.
But and he's using that platform to like spread like information and stuff. Because on top of playing Mario Maker, every once in a while he'll talk about like science stuff or like what type of research he's doing. Yeah. So and then there's also like Veritas, who plays a shooting game frequently, and he's a software engineer. He has a master's degree in software engineering, I believe, and he's also a musician. He also makes music, and he developed an app for the game he plays, where like it not only houses all the information about the game, like what type of ammo and stuff, which he had to figure out himself because the game doesn't tell you that, but he also programmed a simulation. I remember one example he gave when he was talking to his chat, I believe yesterday or the day before, was he was like, so let's say like this type of like bullet hits a certain part of your body, and your character is wearing this type of armor with this armor level, with this type of durability. How much damage do you take? And he said, I don't know. I am not smart enough to figure it out, which is why I had to create a program to do it for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, wow, like it was like very inspirational. I was like I just want to be able to like spread like knowledge like that and like be able to like help people, you know, because there are questions that people want answered, but don't necessarily know how to answer those questions. And I feel like that's what I want to do. Because not only do I want to be like an astrophysicist, because like I said, like the people I just mentioned are like multi-talented. So I want to be able to like be on a platform where I not only have information, but I can spread it to people who don't have the information. Because you can go to like give like lectures and stuff in university, but the people who are listening to those lectures probably are already smart.
Yeah.
And like, but some people like don't know how necessarily where to begin. So like you creating a platform where people can learn, you know?
Are you in the opinion that education should be free? Like knowledge should be free, not education. Knowledge should be free.
Knowledge should be, yeah. I'm actually like very like not capitalist at all. Yeah. I don't believe like a lot of things should be put behind a price.
There's a lot of websites that house scientific and research journals. These are like the research papers, right? And a lot of times there's a paywall that in order to read the science, in order to read the research, you have to pay like some subscription, you have to pay some amount to access the paper. So you're kind of against that. You think all those should be free.
Yeah.
So you mentioned some of these gamers that are really smart, and I remember you mentioning some of these people, especially the geneticist, and how you've even like shared some of the stories like you've learned from him, which is kind of interesting. Do you feel like you could do, or you'd want to get into that type of platform where, let's say, social media streaming, maybe gaming, and you kind of are talking about astrophysics?
Yeah, but I feel like I'm not there yet. Like I remember, like he was explaining something. He was explaining how he had set up. I sent the link in the Discord where he broke down like how he was like setting up something in like his lab. He wasn't setting up something in his lab. He was setting up his own lab to like research some thing about something. I don't remember off the top of my head, but he was setting up a lab, right? And I remember the way he was explaining it, even though I don't remember, what I did remember, it was really easy to understand. And I was thinking, because, you know, I was a physics TA. So, like, sometimes kids would ask me for help. And he was explaining it. And it was so simple and easy to understand, despite him having so much knowledge about the topic, where he could easily just go in depth.
Yeah.
And I felt like it really creates, like, that difference between, like, if you, like, remember something and if you know something.
Yes, right.
Because he's easily able to break it down in such a way to understand. Like, I kind of understand physics, like what I've been taught, but I don't know it at the level to teach others about it because I don't know enough about it myself. So, like, in the future, yeah, but I feel like I'm not at that point yet, you know?
Yeah. Let's talk. You mentioned TAing. Let's talk about your experience in high school. How we met in the 10th grade. You were in my engineering class, and then 11th grade, you became a member of it was third period physics, right?
Yeah.
And then as a 12th grader, now you didn't have any of my classes, but you were the TA for engineering, and then you also became the TA for the physics class where you graded the work because of your great Regents score.
Just the agency, 95.
So can you talk about like that experience, like through high school? Like, how do you think you've grown from a 10th grader to an 11th grader to 12th grader to like now about to graduate?
So let me think. So all right. So before high school, I went to a failing middle school. Like it was really bad. It was a really bad middle school. So like, um, you know how like, because I know you went to a bad middle school. I mean, a bad high school. Bad high school. Bad high school. Bad high school. My middle school was like the school that the kids that were bad in your high school where they started. You know. So like, that's like what I was like surrounded by. So like, and you know, like people like when you're like that, like you're kind of like closed off because like you're in some sort of like environment. So like I was like, I had some like ideologies, like I would say like the FA word a lot, which I don't anymore. You know, just like there are some certain things like I was closed off. I didn't like anyone that wasn't like black at all. Like if you weren't black, I did not like you at all. I just didn't trust you.
Yes.
And it's just like my priorities were just like, eh. I mean, but overall, like I felt like I kind of was like different in a way because like throughout middle school, like because you know I'm very attractive. The people would tell me, "Oh, you should get with this, you should get with that," and like I don't know, even though like that's like what I'm told a lot, it was like it didn't feel like right for me because I was just like, I kind of want to be smart, not marry.
Yeah.
So like that was like it's like kind of like how I stood out a little bit in a sense where like my priorities were different because I wasn't, even though like I was around those people, I wasn't. I tried not to be too much influenced like by them.
Yeah.
Like I already knew what I wanted to do, you know. And not only that, I had like some other like smart people to like balance it out, kind of. Because I knew like Adair, who, you know, pretty smart, 1350 SAT. You know, shout out to Adair. Like I also knew him, and like he's smart, so like it was like kind of balancing it out. But yeah, so like I was kind of like closed off in middle school. So transitioning into high school, I only came here because Adair came here. Because he was like my closest friend at the time, and I didn't want to continue on to like the other high schools that my friends were going to because it was like it would put me on the wrong path. But so I came as a freshman. I didn't talk much. I remember I was very like confused because the first time like I went to lunch in high school, it was so quiet and everyone was like having like conversations. No one was fighting. Like I was just like, what's going on? Is this real life? Why is everyone so nice and friendly? I was very confused. And so I don't know. I didn't trust it. It just felt weird. It felt strange to be in such like a peaceful environment. So then that's how I got introduced to like Joshua. You know, the whole group.
Yeah.
Of kids.
Joshua, Cameron.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah, Jason.
So started hanging out with them. And then that's when I started getting like close. I became close to a few people, and specifically like Jonathan and Jason, because we bonded over music because like we had a similar taste in music.
Yeah. And
I remember Joshua told me like he didn't like me when he first met me because I was louder than him.
That sounds like Joshua.
Yeah. He was like, who is this guy and why is he so loud? Why is he louder than me? I was supposed to be the loudest one. I was like, damn. But yeah, so we became close, and then so yeah, that's how I became comfortable in the school. And I guess kind of that's how I became comfortable like to you because since I hung around them, also hung around a lot of like the people a grade above me. So when I got into engineering and I was sitting with Isaiah and Vanessa, I was already kind of familiar with them.
Yeah.
So since I was familiar with them, I was kind of like comfortable in the class. So it's like a domino effect. So since I became comfortable in the class, like I kind of stood out more a little bit. And like I think one thing that I think made me stand out to you was like I forgot, someone asked what was racism, and I said racism is the systematic oppression of any other race in order to benefit only yours.
Yeah.
And you was like, I'm giving Cody a stamp.
Yeah. It was a shocking answer from like someone your age, and even I don't want to like bad talk the engineering class, but someone in that class, you know, I wasn't expecting that type of response. It was a very like quote unquote woke response.
Yeah, because I learned that from one of my friends from middle school. Because like I don't know, I feel like when people listen to like good music, I can't say good because it's subjective, but
Yeah,
I guess like woke music,
yeah.
like they learn stuff, so you can still be like, I guess hood, but still like be smart.
Yeah, I get it.
So
I get what you mean.
yeah, so he said it. He was like, and I was like, wow, that's true. That's right. It's 100% right. Because it's when you're like young, you kind of know like things, but you don't know it enough to articulate it in a way that makes sense,
Right.
and describes it accurately. So when he told me, I was like, wow, I'm gonna adopt that. And yeah, so that's when I used it or learned it. So engineering. What did I do in engineering? I think what made me. I think the highlight of engineering, I think, were I tried a lot to make my presentations look good.
Mm-hmm.
And since I worked with Isaiah, it was very conflicting because the presentations would look nice, but the stuff inside the presentation will look so weird.
Yeah.
Like, remember that guy eating a watermelon?
Yes.
Really fast?
Yes.
It was like the presentation would look good, but then not look good.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like fun. And then, how did you get me to join the team? You just asked me.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah. And then I started like learning and I started showing up to meetings even though I wasn't on the team. And then I started like, then you told me to learn the Naruto hand signs.
Yeah.
And then I learned them, and you told me to stop doing it because it was annoying.
Yeah, because you started learning like more than 2. I think you know 3. Right?
Bro, I learned like 4 or 5.
Okay, well, see, that's why I told you to stop.
I kept learning them, and then they weren't working, so it's just like, all right, you have to stop now. So that was what else happened sophomore year? I joined the team. Was there anything else I'm missing?
I mean, it's just whatever you remember. That was the main gist. I'm just now thinking, actually, the reason why I wanted you to join the team, because you had this like look of you go home. A lot of kids have this look in at the high school, where after school you just go home, and I'm like, there's something more that you could be doing to like enrich yourself. Like there was something about you. Like I like to call it like the quote unquote it factor. You know, we talked about it at leadership meetings and directorship meetings. There's some people that when they like walk into a room, they have like this presence that kind of command authority or have this like gravitational or magnetic pull. And when you had said that definition of racism, that's kind of like when I noticed you, because usually everyone's just a normal student in the room. Sometimes this student will kind of stand out because they have a great presentation skill, or this student will stand out because they have a great idea, or this student will stand out because they can articulate something well. And that was surprising. Because I had 0 expectations from everyone in the class, because that was like very early in the year. And then you were also just kind of like comfortable talking to me, which is kind of antithesis to a lot of students that first get to know me. They're like somehow intimidated by me. I'm not that tall, and I don't think I'm that scary, but whatever it is,
that nose though.
Whatever it is, they have some type of like fear, but you either probably was like socially awkward or you didn't care. So one of those.
I was like, who you? Who you? Who are you supposed to be? Huh?
It was one of those things. So that was just interesting. I was like, okay, join robotics. And then you started showing up to the meetings, and I was like, okay, this kid, again, something's weird about this kid. Either he's very dedicated or he's socially awkward.
Or he's insane. Crazy. Who's this kid? Get him out of here.
So I was like, it was just like one of those things. It was kind of cool. So, that was interesting at the time. So I was curious as to see where you were gonna go from like physics and TA and all that. So What do you think? Let's talk about the team, all right? Full Metal Beavers. This is their podcast. Sure. So, what is your like? How do you feel? This is a 2-question thing. We had talked about it before. What do you think your impact is on the team, and what do you think the team's impact is on you this is your 3rd year on the team?
So my impact, I don't know. I feel like I come off as like, especially when I became a leader.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, let me start when I was a rookie. So, like, I want to say like I was similar to like Anthony, but maybe a bit more loud. I was like very like hyper and loud.
Maybe you want to describe Anthony for the listeners in case they don't know what that is.
So Anthony, he's a junior now. So he's like, the best way I could describe it is like goofy serious. Where like he's serious and he gets stuff done, but also while being like goofy and funny. You know?
Yeah. Kind of like a mischief maker.
Yeah. Whatever that means. And I think, and this was sophomore year, so I was working with MD Hossein as a programmer.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like something you told me, because MD, is he the valedictorian? He's a valedictorian, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I remember you told me that you and Miss Canizaro, which is another teacher, were talking about me working with MD and like MD being on the team, and she was asking like, how does he not get cocky or arrogant? And then you were like, Cody keeps him grounded. And so like, I feel like I also had like the ability to like disregard like any form of like accolades that you have, because for me like accolades, it doesn't really mean anything to me, because there are so many different ways to fake an accolade. So in order for you to like, in order for me to like recognize that you're like something, or like not something like, as in you have worth, but as in like whatever you claim to be, like I have to see some form of proof of it, you know? So like I knew MD was smart, but it wasn't because he was of his grades. It was because during, I think, was I a freshman? It was a freshman. When I had Mr. Lawler, and we would compete for test grades. Even though I just contradicted myself talking about grades that really matter. But okay. I wanted to do better than him. And even though like my grades weren't that high, like people often get intimidated by MD because of he's so smart, and he's not that bad. So it was just like, since I like know like, MD's smart, but I'm pretty smart too, so I can hang with him and I can shut him down. So it was just like I've interacted with him, so I know like where we stand. So I wasn't like very much intimidated, I guess. So yeah, I guess like I had like that presence, because, and it really carried over, because like I would speak without much like fear of like offending anyone. I don't know. I remember you got mad at me one time for hitting you on the head with a Dunkin' Donuts bag. Yeah. And I was like, and then you were like, I'm kicking the team. And I wasn't even on the team yet, and you still kicked me off the team. And I had to apologize.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it was like that, I guess. But I shouldn't have done that. But yeah. So it was just like that like ability, I guess, to just like disregard like things, like certain like physical things, and look into like the person itself, that allowed me to like stand out, I guess, because I wasn't really scared. So then my impact when I became a leader, since the previous leader had graduated, Ali, I became the manager of controls. So I highlight like what that entails.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so manager of controls is basically, so it's a part of the engineering department. The engineering department essentially builds the robot, and there's a mechanical side and there's a control side. Mechanical side builds like the physical robot. So like imagine like imagine looking at like a car, like you see that, the frame and the rims and the engine and stuff, that's all mechanical. But to plug in the key into the ignition and everything turns on and everything is turned, when you turn the steering wheel left, the wheels turn left, you know, all of that is controls. So, and I was responsible for that, for the robot, making sure that everything was functioning the way it should.
Yeah.
And there were two very controversial philosophies I indoctrinated, I guess.
Yeah.
And it was one, hitting my members, and two, figure it out. So
how do you think those two philosophies worked for your division?
You don't?
No. I'm asking, how do you think they work for your division?
I mean, when I look at the people who were my collaborators last year, MD Zaman, Muhammad Salam, and Angel. Is that it?
No, there's a few more. There's Kiana.
Oh yeah, Kiana.
And there was also Julian.
I'm talking about people who are still on the team.
Okay.
Yeah, Kiana, Salam.
So how do you think it worked out for those people?
I think it went well because, for one, like the term "figure it out" became a thing when I realized that they were asking me too many questions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not bad to ask questions, but I think it's bad to ask questions when you can easily figure out the answer yourself.
Yeah.
So I feel like by saying "figure it out," I'm asserting the belief that you're capable of figuring out the answer yourself. So I feel like that proved like beneficial because I find that Salam is able to get tasks done, or all of them are able to get tasks done, and they're able to easily interpret the task I give them, and without much explaining, it's like they understand. It clicks, and like that was like I remember when I first joined back the team after like the purge, I spoke to MD Zaman, and I was asking him a question, and I was like, "Do you need me to explain it further?" And I was like, "Nah, I already." And he was like, "Nah, I already understand. I know exactly what you're talking about." And I was like, "Damn, let's go." It was like it's something like that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And the hitting of the members. So I didn't want to give out infractions because I know like the members are good. They're just making like some mistakes, but I feel like some sort of consequence has to be involved.
So abusing them is the consequence.
It's not abuse because first of all, I had all their consent. They gave me consent. They gave me permission. I had 100% consent. And it was just like, I called it physical motivating. I was physically motivating them to do better next time, very, very aggressively. And I think it was just like to maintain like check over what you're doing and don't make foolish mistakes because I don't want to hit you. And I didn't hit them I didn't slap them on the face or nothing. Like I'll just hit them on like their back or something, very, very aggressively. So it's a very aggressive pat on the back.
Okay. Okay.
Good job.
Maybe I've observed it, and it's debatable. Okay, it's debatable. So let's move on from abusing our members. What? Oh, I don't think you answered the question. What type of impact the team has had on you?
I think the primary impact is like I don't make excuses at all. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I feel like I also am more open to like being wrong. Like I'm not scared of being incorrect. I'm more open to like learning, and I don't make excuses as much. And that's like it's just raising my standard. Like I feel like my standard for everything, just looking at something and being able to pick out teeny tiny details that might mess something up or might look bad. Like I'm able to pick those out more often and just recognize like, this needs to be changed because I have to look, because I know there are tiny things when I'm doing something like for robotics. I'm just like, this is a little tiny thing right here and it's probably fine. But I know if French looks at it, he's going to yell at me. So I'll probably fix it.
Cool. And you feel like that's like a personal growth for you?
Yeah.
That's good. I definitely agree with the like whatever my standard is, it's definitely trickled down to the leaders and then like to you. So that's good. It's good to have like very high standards for yourself and for others and for projects you're working on. Because what you'll find, Cody, is when you go to MSU, let's say you join a student organization, you're going to find that that student organization, whoever's leading it, is probably not as organized as the Full Metal Beavers. Maybe they are, actually. Maybe they're going to be just as organized or better.
Yeah.
But
What if they were like for Team 254?
I don't know. But the idea of having like the way we send emails and the way that we like have agendas, that's a thing. I don't know if you remember, like when you were a rookie on the team, your leaders at the time were very vocal about like, why do we have to have agendas? Why do we have to do this? Why do we have to do these things? It's because the rest of the working world does this, and it's to get you guys into the habit of that, you know? So I'm curious as to like you, let's say, like we talk again in the next like few months or after like a year or two, and you telling me an experience of like, yeah, I sat in on this meeting and it went like blah 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 blah. Maybe it was better than your experience or worse. That's just interesting to think about.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's ask like a far off question now. This is a question I wrote down while talking to you as you were talking about space. Do you believe in aliens?
Ooh.
Like, and I'm talking about intelligent life aliens, not some bacteria found in ice on Mars.
Dang. The thing is, it's so hard for me to answer that because I don't know. Because remember, when people refer to life, they always refer to life as life on Earth.
Yeah.
So imagine like you go to like a different planet. Say you go to Mars, right? And you see like some rocks. They're not moving. They're not doing anything. What if they're like communicating somehow?
Oh.
Right? You know, like this. As stupid as that may be, the standard for life cannot be the standard for life on Earth I feel like cannot be applied to anywhere else. You know, because there are certain conditions that allowed for life on Earth, and I feel like those conditions can be varied for different types of life on other planets. You know.
So you think there's a planet somewhere in the infinite cosmos, telepathic pebbles?
I want to say all that, but it's something to think about, definitely.
What do you imagine? Like, let's say, let's say it's an ancient civilization in another galaxy who's had a much further head start than us. Humans have only been around like for like 6,000 years or more. A human civilization and like technology and all that. What do you think, like, let's say a civilization has had like 1,000,000 years head start looks like? That's intelligent, quote unquote, whatever that means.
By ancient, you mean like they died out?
No. They're still alive. They're just like they just are much older.
I mean, well, like once again, like it's hard to like say that because I doubt aliens gonna look like that. Because I was thinking like, imagine like the aliens on like other planets, right? They don't have eyes, but they have like really sensitive hands. So like, just by like, you could like poke like a rock with like a pin, and they're able to sense the difference. And they use those like pokes and variations in like surfaces to like write to each other, you know. So we'll look at it and be like, this is ordinary rock, but they're using it to talk. So it's just like, as weird as that sounds.
I'm so curious as to where did you get this idea from that rocks are communicating?
I'm just it's an example. It's just an example.
It's the second time you brought this up. So you
I don't know, rocks, because rocks are everywhere. You look outside, there's a rock. They're probably talking right now. Huh? What you say? They're really talking right now.
You know, they're supposedly like, I don't know if this, like what the science is behind it, but there's some rocks that apparently move in some desert terrains. And there's some fake articles, like these are fake articles, but there was like a long-standing rumor that rocks are actually like squishy, and then when you poke them, they tense up.
I've seen that.
Yeah, like that's nonsense. That's silly. But it is.
It could be true. How would you know?
I don't know. I mean,
exactly.
That's a question I guess the scientists have to figure out.
Maybe put a few $1 billion into researching rocks or squid.
So, here's like a follow-up question. Have you ever seen the movie Arrival?
No, I don't watch a lot of movies.
Okay, that's a movie you should watch. It's a really good science movie. It's like Interstellar, but more focused on alien time. Like the time is a very strong motif in that movie. These aliens have somehow unlocked like the physics of time, and it's very interesting. And also language, because you mentioned like hands, and they kind of are used to communicate because they don't have eyes. These aliens actually are in the shape of hands.
Oh my god!
It's really
terrifying.
Yeah, no, it's terrifying when you see them. And if that type of invasion or coming down on Earth, like landing, happened on the planet, it would be really, really bad, because countries would just be super startled. They start shooting, they start firing, be wars with the aliens. And those aliens were actually peaceful when they came.
Like, oh wait, please, no. Like begging you to stop and just die, hand.
So put that on your watch list. It's something cool to watch.
I got it right now.
The second question I wanted to ask was, so wait, do you believe in some other life other than humans? And
I think it's plausible. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's plausible.
What's your stance on religion now? Because that, if you believe in, let's say, aliens or additional life other than Earth, that kind of hints that you might reject the like existence of God or a god. Is that true?
The more I think about it, the more like I'm super in the middle, because I was watching Boondocks, and there's like these two white guys. You probably heard of him as Ed, who is a grandson of like some really rich guy.
Yeah.
And there's there's Rummy, who's like super like, how do I describe him? He's like super like traditional. Not traditional in the sense like, oh, wipe your feet when you enter the house. That's not really tradition. But he's just like against like super modern technology. Like, yeah, he's unnecessary technology. Like, he's against it. And one thing that he said that like I'm more and more beginning to like understand and like adopt is he says like the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence, which is kind of hard to understand.
Yeah,
but
what the hell does that mean?
Sense. So it basically means that just because you don't have evidence that something doesn't exist doesn't mean that that's evidence that it does exist. Did I say that right?
Yeah, it's something along the lines of that.
Yeah, so it's like
it's basically agnosticism. That's like one of my kind of beliefs, where I kind of adopt something similar when it comes to religion. I don't necessarily reject any religion, but I don't subscribe to any of them, because I claim that there's not evidence to go either way, like to prove or disprove, you know?
Yeah, because just because you're lacking in evidence, that could just mean you haven't researched it enough.
Yeah.
So, like, you can't say, oh, there's no evidence. Because at the end of the day, it's the researcher's fault that there is no evidence. Because if it didn't exist, they would have hard evidence that it didn't exist. But that's not true. It's impossible to either prove or disprove.
So at what point do you, like, cease the skepticism and realize, okay, maybe rocks can't talk? Will there ever be enough evidence, like just personally for you, do you think there'll ever be enough evidence for you to solidly accept, okay, maybe rocks can't communicate telepathically?
Maybe rocks can't. I mean, the way, like, the way
I'm using this as a soundbite, by the way, as a preview for the podcast. It'll be like, I believe rocks can speak telepathically.
All right, that's fine. I'm woke. It don't matter. I think the best way to describe the rocks talking, because I know they're talking. Trust me, I hear them. But is you would have to be able to detect pretty much every single like frequency of wave within like a certain area. And obviously, if you're not detecting any sort of like waves or interference within like that thing or like that technology, then they're obviously not communicating, because if they were going to be communicating, it'd be in the form of waves. And if you're not like detecting them, then they're not, obviously. But it's like, but then again, you have to have enough technology to detect all array of waves. You know how like, because some of them have like different wavelengths, and it's like how you can see color, like light waves, but you can't see radio waves. You know?
Yeah.
So
well, humans
you have to
can't see those.
Yeah, I'm talking like humans. Because I think snakes can see infrared, right? Something like that.
Yeah, snakes can see infrared.
But yeah, it's like just because you can't see it, like you have to be able to see everything or be able to analyze everything for you to come up with a concrete conclusion.
Right. Are you like excited about going to college, maybe doing undergrad or graduate research, and being able to like do experiments in this way where you get to eliminate all these other possibilities? Are you excited about that type of stuff?
Yeah, of course. That's how I get my Nobel Prize.
And what kind of experiment do you think you like? What do you fantasize yourself doing? Like when you have your own lab or like the own like facilities for you to do your own experiment, your own project. What do you foresee yourself like studying or researching?
I think the two main things. I talked to my advisor, and it was hard for me to pinpoint it, like what I wanted to do. But I think something along the lines of gravity and like time manipulation, based on like black hole research.
Yeah.
Or energy, like being able to find a way to like better create energy, well, convert energy. So like those two fields are pretty cool.
Yeah. MSU has great facilities, like they have the cyclotron, so that leads into some energy research. That's how you can do some high energy research there. They also have a planetarium and an observatory on campus as well. The observatory, they do some experiments there, usually like star formation research. And there's even if like when you get into the program and you get a chance, like let's say you befriend a professor, you should look into traveling down to Chile and having access or working on a project with the SOAR telescope, where you actually get to observe like the southern hemisphere. A lot of times we only get to see the northern sky, and people forget like there's a whole other half of the sky that you can see.
That's why they think the Earth is flat.
Maybe, but they have ongoing experiments with that too, and being able to travel, that's a cool experience that you have the opportunity of getting into. And then I think they do some black hole research with the SOAR telescope. That telescope is like shared with 3 other universities. MSU has like a share of the telescope, but it's a cool telescope. Okay, so we're kind of coming up to that 1 hour mark. We're at like 50 minutes. So is there anything you want to discuss? Like anything off the top of your head? Any crazy topics?
No.
Any advice you want to give to, let's say, some of the future members?
Oh, I mean, it's the same advice I gave in that thing. I think people just need to relax. And by relax, I don't mean, get a massage. I mean, a lot of times you either like manic or like super like depressed, I guess, in terms of like work or effort and like dedication and motivation. I feel like when people like join the team, they're either so excited that they overwhelm themselves with work, or they're like super scared so they don't do like a lot and they get like bashed for it. I feel like people just need to like relax and just like evaluate why you're here, what do you want to do, what are you capable of doing, and try to meet the requirements of like what is required of you, while also doing enough where like you're fulfilling your own needs, but you're not overwhelming yourself. So I think like, just relax.
That's actually great advice, for all members, like new and old and current members. I think that's advice for just like in general. That's great advice, just to relax. A lot of times you're right. People are either manic or depressed about this or that. And it's a journey. I think it's a personal journey for some people to kind of wake themselves up with that. Okay, what would you say to our listeners, like our patrons?
I gotta hit that. I know you subscribe and all that, but I know there's a little bit of money left in your bank account. You can support a little bit more. Feel me?
Oh, I like that. Okay.
Okay. Shout out to the agency.
That's a call. That's a call to up your pledges. That's cool.
Exactly.
Great.
I know you got some money.
Great suggestion.
If you don't want to support the team, support me. I need that college tuition paid for. Thank you.
College is very, very expensive in this country.
Facts.
It's extremely expensive. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not like very well versed on the expenses of that, but I have no idea why colleges are charging like upwards of $70,000 for tuition.
Yeah. I don't know. I remember when Bernie Sanders he spoke about like eliminating all like student debt and making college free. It was like a few $100 billion to eliminate all the debt and pay for everyone's college. And I was like, damn. But hey, they got money for war, right?
Yeah, that's a whole nother discussion. Maybe when you come back for episode 26, you'll have some political ideas that maybe are the same or maybe are radically different. That'd be interesting to hear.
I don't think you can get more radical than current beliefs.
Cody, I want to thank you very much for sitting down chatting with me. This is like a very much anticipated talk that I wanted to hear, and it's nice to have you have this platform to kind of just share your experiences.
I mean, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
And I want to thank everyone for listening to Cody and episode 6 of the Full Metal Beavers Patreon podcast. Tune in next time for episode 7. All right. Bye. Bye, Cody. Say bye.
Stay up. Peace out. Yeah.